In this video, I'm going to go through how to use the Power of the Force coins price guide of Star Wars Tracker. Now, this is an area of collecting that's pretty niche, and people kind of might collect a few coins, especially if they want to pair a coin with some of the last 17 figures. So some of the carded figures late in the line appeared on a Power of the Force card, and they had this little silver coin inside the bubble to basically help sell the figures to kids when the whole line was aging and sales were plummeting. Kenner executives thought that this might be the way to save the line and get a few more sales in. So that's a very short backstory to how these coins came about. But for those collectors that are interested in these coins, it's a really fascinating area of collecting, I think, and really quite surprising. And you can see some of these coins that just really go for a lot of money, and it can take you aback, and you think, well, what's going on there? Personally, I've got a particular fondness for the coins. It's actually the main reason why I came up with Star Wars Tracker. It was to help me track prices for some of the rarer Power of the Force coins that you just rarely saw on eBay. And if they were on eBay, the examples were so few and far between that example sales had just rolled off eBay over the 90-day period and just weren't there anymore to actually get knowledge about. So I set myself the task of trying to come up with a set of the 62 Power of the Force coins, and I built Star Wars Tracker hand in hand to go along with that challenge for myself. So I think the coins are really cool, and once you start getting into them, they're pretty addictive, but can be quite difficult to find some fair pricing for some of the coins. So I think this is where Star Wars Tracker particularly shines, is the Power of the Force coin price guide. So let's go and have a look. So going up the top here again, we've got the price guides link, and I'm just going to scroll down on this page, and I'm going to jump over this vehicles price guide section, and here we are at the Power of the Force coin price guides. So once again, in keeping with this page, it's just picked out a few random example coins, and a couple of really interesting ones have come up randomly, the Sail Skiff and FX7. But to see all coins, we just have to click this button here, and then here we have all of them represented to scroll through and have a look at. So just giving it a little bit of an eyeball, we can see we've got a $400 coin here for the AT-AT, and then other ones that seem to be highly available are around the $30 mark. What else do we see? We've got a Boba Fett one there, which is, there's been hardly any public sales that I've tracked this year, so it's got a price to match. So around $30 to $40 seems to be a price for the lower end of the market. But then we see some really interestingly high indicative prices for some of these other coins. So there's a lot of variation here. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm just going to pick one just to delve into further, and I'm going to go with Amanaman here. So what we can do is just click on full pricing details, and here we have all the pricing stats for this particular Power of the Force coin. So this Amanaman one, it's quite a common one. It was available on the carded figures along with the Amanaman figure. It's also nothing to say that it wasn't available as a mail order coin. So just to give you a bit of background here, there's a lot more information on the internet about this, but essentially some of the coins were available on the carded figure itself, but most of them you had to mail away mostly in the United States, sending in some proof of purchases, and then you'd get some random coin back. in the mail. You had no choice about which one it was. So someone at Kenner would just pick it at random and mail it back to you, and that's what you ended up with. So because of that being the process, it was really difficult to get a full set of coins back in the day, because you had to firstly buy the figures to get the proof of purchases and send them away and hope you got a different coin each time, which was probably, the chances of that happening are pretty slim. But Amanaman was one of the more commonly available ones because it was available on the carded figure itself. So because of that, the availability rank of the Amanaman coin is pretty high, as you would expect. So it ranks up there in the top 17. So this one is 55 out of 64. And correspondingly, how valuable the coin is comparatively low to a lot of the others. So the universal rankings appearing like that say to me that the market is quite sensible about this particular item. So it's highly available and therefore not very valuable. So the market is behaving properly. So then, just to get a bit of an idea of how much one of these coins should cost me, I'll go to the 50 percentile band row, and we see that it comes out at a little over $40. So that's okay, I guess. At the lower end of the scale, anything $25 or under would be a pretty good deal, although we have to take condition into consideration. Of course, when prices are low, it usually means that the example is not as desirable as another example. And then so a scatter chart just visually reinforces that price range of what we can expect. And so let's just start getting a feel for how these prices match up to the actual item itself. So I'll just remind myself. So top end is around $60, bottom end is about $25. So we've got something in the middle here for $44. So we'll go and just have a look at that one. So nice detailed picture of the front there and picture of the back. So, I mean, you do see these marks on the back, but I've tended to find that close-up pictures of Power of the Force coins tend to be unforgiving. They really show up any small blemish really well. So these pictures kind of don't really do justice to when you have it in hand. But that's just my experience anyway. When I know that I've had my own coins, some doubles that I wanted to sell, and I had it in my hand and it looked really quite nice, but doing pictures like this just showed up every scratch that you really didn't really notice with the naked eye. The way the light catches these coins just really is a little bit unforgiving for the final picture. So let's see if we can find one that sold for more than that and just see how visually different it looks. Wow, so this one looks really bad actually, and it's one of the top prices. So I think that might have been an anomaly in the market, really. Yeah, so that looks worse condition than the one we just saw previously, but it sold for more. That's just how the market goes sometimes. Let's try this other one for 50. Yeah, so that one looks pretty good. Again, like the back of the coin just shows up all these blemishes. There's some possibly sticky tape residue on the back here. That's what it might be, so it could clean up. But it might just be part of the coin surface degrading over time. But the front of the coin definitely looks pretty good, and maybe that's what justified the $50 in that case. Let's look at this 28 one. Yeah, again, that looks pretty good. And the back looks pretty good, but the photos aren't as, there's not as much resolution there, I don't think. It's slightly a little bit blurry. The light is a little bit more, ambient's not the right word, but it's a little bit more forgiving for blemishes, I think. Yeah, but I think markets are never perfect, and I think this is a perfect example of how the prices are just always in a range. And I think what you can sort of walk into this with is, if I have a certain budget, somewhere around $40, I might get something really amazing. And it's just the luck of the market sometimes. If you're not in competition with anyone, or likewise, it could be a really bad example coin, and there could be some competition for it. It could just be a case of a collector might have a generous family member that wants to buy them something for their birthday and have this money to set aside, and they just buy something for a really high price. You don't always know everyone's motivation. But I mean, so me interpreting this price guide, if I was in the market for an Amanaman coin, I think I would actually go in with maybe $30 or $40 as my budget, and then take each one that comes up on a case-by-case basis. And if that hits that range, I'd probably just buy it. I'd be on the lookout for something that comes in really cheap, around $20, and if I could get something that looked half decent, then I could say, hey, I've got a really good deal there. What I probably wouldn't do is think that I need anywhere of $50 or $60 in order to get something, because I just don't, personally, I don't think there's that much in a difference in the condition of the coins sometimes to justify that much of a change. So that's just my personal opinion. You'll have yours as well. It's just figuring out where your comfort zone is, and then just coming up with a plan and sticking with it, and eventually you'll get something that matches up. So those are the ungraded prices. So let's just see how things change if you wanted to go for a graded example. So once again, we see fewer graded prices in the price guides, which makes total sense. That's just the way things are. And so haven't picked up any graded Amanaman coins so far in 2024. And there's really not been a lot of graded coins through the years comparatively. So I've just got one in 2023 compared to 24 ungraded ones, 37 ungraded in 2022, only 4 examples in 2022. So I'll just give you a little bit of insight here, is something that I've picked up. So especially with the last 17 Power of the Force coins, so that's your Amanaman, A-Wing Pilot, Paplu, Warwick, all those sort of things. There's very little incentive to get these ones graded, I've found, particularly because there's so many of them around, and there's just not the price premium attached usually to getting such a common item graded. I've found that there's well, that's just my experience anyway. I haven't really found a good reason to have these graded. When we get to some of the more expensive coins, where there's many hundreds of dollars and even thousands of dollars, you start to see more of those examples get graded, just to prove their authenticity and to give some comfort to both the holder and the seller and the buyer that they're getting the real thing. But anyway, let's just see what pricing is like here. So I've got an AFA U80 example here. So U means uncirculated. It means that this coin was actually ripped from the card by the grader and put into the grading case. So let's go and have a look and see what that looks like. So there we have it there. Still in the poly bag, hasn't even been taken out before it's been put up for sale. So what's that? So an extra $20 on top of the highest band that we saw for ungraded. So a little bit of a premium for a graded example there. What else do we have? So yeah, so we start to see, some of the graded examples here are very much in the range of the ungraded ones. So what do we got there? So $40 for an AFA 80, around 40 for another AFA 80, and that was pretty much in the middle of where the ungraded ones were. So there you see it. Hard to tell if some of these blemishes are on the case or on the coin itself. What's this one look like? Yeah, so it's a nice clear photo, that one. But again, I'm unsure if those blemishes are on the coin itself or on the case. So probably the case, that's a much clearer picture. Oh, there's still something there, isn't there? Yeah. And yeah, this is a good example of what I was trying to explain before. These taking photos of coins just shows up these imperfections on the coin really obviously, where when it's in hand, it doesn't actually look as bad as that. Yeah. So yeah, totally up to you whether the graded coins speak to you more than the ungraded ones. It depends on the feel of your collection and what you're going for, which you're going to favor there. But then, yeah, so all the data's there. You just need to go through it, find out where your sweet spot is, and then come up with your budget, and then go to market and try and find it. Okay, so just to finish up on the coins price guide, I just want to go back to the full set here and just go through some of the more expensive ones, just because I find them fascinating, some of these rare mail-away coins. So one of them that I know through personal experience is really sought after by collectors is this Greedo. So I've only got 7 examples through all of running Star Wars Tracker since 2014. So 7 ungraded examples I've noted that have come to market. And there was one in 2013 that sold for $900. And then nothing for a couple of years, and then we jumped up straight to 4,000. I remember this one caused quite a stir in the community. Because I think someone, if I remember rightly, someone was just so fed up trying to find one of these. When an asking price of 4,000 came up, he just did it, and kind of set a new precedent reference price for a Greedo coin. So that's the highest I've seen. Then it's kind of worked its way down a little bit from there, but you know, we're still talking over 3,000 for a Greedo coin if you're lucky enough to have the chance to purchase one. And I think that's part of the point about the some of these Power of the Force coins. They come up so rarely, some of these really rare mail-away coins, that you often don't have a lot of negotiation room. Quite often you do just have to pay what the seller is offering, because you can go years without seeing another one offered for sale anywhere, and then you're waiting years to fill a gap in your set if you are going to go for a full 62 set. But yeah, so we got 7 ungraded. We've only seen 2 that have actually been graded, and that ratio kind of matches my experience as well. At the top end, where there's the really expensive rare coins, there's just so few going around that so few of them actually get graded as well. Yeah, so it's definitely at the higher end of collecting some of these rare coins. Let's see, 2018 was that graded one. Yeah, so I remember this one. This kind of went under the radar. It went for sale at Vectus, an auction house in the UK, and I think a lot of people weren't aware of Vectus or this particular auction at the time, and so it went for a really good price. An AFA 85 one as well, like under $1,000. Yeah, well done to that buyer. 2017, yeah, that was an AFA 90 on eBay for a little over 3,000. Yeah, so it can be quite volatile, the pricing between examples. We just have a look at both there. But yeah, if people know what they're looking at, then they are prepared to spend the money on a Greedo coin. Yeah, so I think what I like about Star Wars Tracker and this price guide in particular, it just lays out all the coins in front of you, and then just going from this indicative 50 percentile band price, you can kind of get a pretty good idea of which are the valuable coins and which are the really popular coins, and therefore are more expensive. Yeah, so that's another one. Hoth Stormtrooper is another one that's quite hard to come by. And yeah, also the Luke Hoth one here as well, which is a really nice looking coin, that one. Yeah. Okay, so that's all I can really show for you. Yeah, it's a really simple price guide. The coins, like there's no licensees to worry about or anything like that. It's just the coin, and then yep, you just figure out what the pricing is doing, what you're comfortable with, and then build a plan, and then hopefully go and execute the plan and come up with something for your collection. Okay, we'll leave it there for that one, and until next time, happy collecting.